In my second presentation, I'm not speaking to you as the chairman of I JIC, but rather in my capacity as the head of research at remp in Switzerland. remp in German or remp in French or Italian is entrusted, is the Joint Industry Committee which is entrusted to carry out the syndicated audience research for press media in Switzerland. Our national readership survey is called remp Basic, and it quantifies and describes the readerships of printed editions of all relevant Swiss newspapers and magazines. As in your country, we quantify the readers of an average issue. Readers per average issue is our currency regarding press media. From our national readership survey, you could learn, for example, that an average issue of the renowned daily newspaper Neue Zürcher Zeitung is read by 292,000 readers per day. Netmetrics is the Joint Industry Committee which is entrusted to carry out the syndicated audience research for digital channels in Switzerland. Their national digital user survey is called Netmetrics Profile. This survey quantifies and describes the users of digital channels, amongst them most of the digital platforms of the Swiss newspapers and magazines. The userships of certain digital platforms are quantified as unique users per day, unique users per week, or unique users per month. In contrast, you see, to the press currency, digital channels have 3 official reach values in parallel. For example, the digital platforms of the newspaper Neue Zürcher Zeitung have a total of 136,000 unique users per day. As we all know, single media have become media brands. The content of certain media brands is distributed via different platforms. It is clear that media houses wanted to have total audience estimates to sum up the users of all their printed and digital offers. They use this total audience data to analyze and show migration between the different platforms and, of course, to sell intermedia packages to the advertisers and their agencies. Also, agencies demand total audience estimates for strategic and tactical media planning purposes. Yes, this is a situation we are in, but unfortunately, establishing total audience estimates is a rather complex matter. Let's start with the content. Let's start with nasty questions like this. What should be compared and combined? What is the equivalent of an average issue readership regarding digital platforms? Does it make sense to compare or to combine users of a certain domain with readers of the corresponding press title? But that's not enough. Advertising in press and on digital platforms is booked differently. In press, an advertiser buys, for example, a full page of a certain edition and can't be sure that this ad page is part of the whole circulation and is delivered to all readers of this circulation. Not so in the online world. Here you normally buy a predefined amount of contacts, and the display ad, for example, runs as long as the targeted contacts are realized on one or more digital platforms. You see two totally different concepts. In order to produce total audience estimates, one normally has to use sophisticated measurement techniques, at least for the digital platforms. Measurement techniques are once again a complex matter. And just as you have finally been successful in measuring the traffic or the users of a certain digital platform type with a lot of expenditures and hard, painful work, a new platform type emerges and the game starts all over again and again. Theoretically, for user-centric information, a panel approach would be adequate. But the panel would have to be so big that no one could afford to handle it this way. Therefore, salvation is thought in hybrid approaches with a lot of complex modeling. Hybrid approaches normally use site-centric and user-centric components. This implies that site-centric browser data must be eventually transformed into user-related information. Again, technically very demanding. But, ladies and gentlemen, there is no use in complaining. Syndicated audience research must find ways to provide the market with total audience estimates for media brands, even if it's clear that the solution chosen has its shortcomings. Users of this kind of research have to learn to live with even more approximations, with black holes regarding the applied techniques and models, and they must be ready to accept that one research generation is rather quickly superseded by a new generation. The rather stable world of syndicated press audience research will not be reproducible in the world of digital platforms.